Well, this is Mike Cagley with Illini legend Marcus Griffin. We'll have Ked Prince, Brad Sturdy coming on in a few minutes. Boy, that was an interesting game. I was glad that Illinois could play in a very physical environment and get the W. But I was also a little bit saddened by the fact that they shot 20% from the three, which I've got to be honest with you,
Probably the worst.
my sons are now all in college or out of college. But I remember when my son's seventh grade team would shoot better than that from
Yeah.
three.
It's a string. Right now, it's a big lid on that rim for them shooting that ball. And so, but today, there's a shining light. They showed that they can score in very different ways by going on the block. Big Merch was a tank down there, and it just wasn't about his scoring. Him and Big Z was passing the ball very well after the guards was cutting. I think Jake Davis had a couple of layups slashing to the basket off post up feeds, and
Yep.
so all we want to see is the adjustments when the shot's not falling. Because we both know you're going to have games in the tournament, Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament. Teams are going to make you put the ball on the floor. You're not going to be able to shoot high 30s, 40% from threes all the time. And I don't want you to get fragile in the game, be able to go to plan B. Plan B, wear Big Merc out of. You're going to put a guard on him, let's wear him out. Let's wear him out.
Yeah.
Let's make that team double. And they did a good job of that. And you got to win these games. Like every team Illinois plays, I think in the last 5 or 6 years under Coach Underwood, he's getting their best shot. When Illinois comes into town, you're getting their best shot. Everybody's going to sleep a little early. They're not going out the night before. And so they want to give Illinois their best shot. And they came with the energy. They came with the fight. But Illinois was able to – it was a character game. They could have got a little rattled and lost the game in the middle of the second half, but they fought and kept it going.
Well, they had, I think, 3 times where they got up by right around 6 points. I guess 2 times where they got up by 6 points. Maryland closed the gap, and then the final time, Illinois got up by 9 or something, and Maryland couldn't close it. But to me, that was the thing is that when somebody keeps coming back and then you can force some separation, that is very frustrating to work that hard to come back only to have them separate from you, and then you come back again. And I give Illinois credit for doing that, but boy, that was that was a tough one. And I tell you one thing, I have a lot of respect. There hasn't been a big reason to watch a lot of Maryland basketball this year.
Yeah.
And no offense, but this has been a rough year, first year, over there, with new coach. But I got to be honest with you, Mills looked like a darn All-American today. Holy cow, played defense, rebounded the basketball, played effective offense. But, the bottom line is I think this game was kept close because of, at times, neither team could shoot threes. Mills and Coit were 4 for 17 from the three. And then if you go over to the Illinois side, you had Humrick House, and then if you were to put Wagler and Stojakovic there with them, then now you're talking 2 for 14. So there was a lot of missed threes to go around this game. Marcus, I'll be honest with you. Here's what frustrated me, and maybe you saw what was done to prevent this in the second half. Although I remember Big Z did have one rim run that he just didn't get the ball on, but he was 3 for 4 in the first half with flushing down 3 dunks.
Yep.
I was really hoping that Illinois would try to get the ball to him more often and maybe open up the threes, because they were worried about Big Z throwing down more dunks.
Yeah, running the floor.
What were your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's something that they do. They're not known as a fast break team. So when we do see it, we see that they can do it, but it's not something that they consistently do. So we get frustrated. Oh my God, it's right there. but then that's just not their game. So it's not something that I count on them to do the whole game.
Yeah. And I would have liked to seen a little more of that. Let's go
Yeah.
through the stat line because I do think that's worth kind of bringing up for folks who may not have access to it right away. But you had, Merkovich led the way, double, 22 points. He also had 11 rebounds, 3 assists, only
Yep.
had 2 turnovers, and he shot 9 for 13. I can only think of one. I did not like his shot with, I don't know, 9 or 10 seconds on the
Yeah, the
shot
turnaround on the
clock.
baseline. Yeah.
Yeah, on a guy 6 inches shorter than him.
Turn around,
That
face
was
up, shoot the ball.
yeah, and he was doing so good about recognizing matchups and going inside. I was surprised he settled for that. Boswell had 11 points, 3 for 5 from the field, 1 board, 3 assists. Clearly, he's not all the way back from that hand injury. Tomislav, 4 points, 1 for 3 shooting, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. So you did see the big guys passing a little bit on display there. Jake Davis, 8 points on 3 for 5 shooting, 2 for 4 from the three, 2 boards and assist. Keaton Wagler clearly getting bodied an awful lot. I
Yeah.
think, folks, the biggest opportunity for having a different supervisor of referees for the NCAA tournament in terms of what they want called. I think we may see a resurgence in Wagler if his left shoulder's feeling okay.
Yeah.
But he was 3 for 10, had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple TOs. Stojakovic, 8 points, 2 for 6, and had 2 boards. Rickhouse, 6 points, 2 for 8 from the three, with 2 rebounds and an assist. And Big Z was 8 points, 3 for 5 from the field, 2 boards. And, to me, we got to get him ball on the inside because his elevator goes higher than anybody but the dude from Michigan. So, when you look at that, now we go for statistics for the team. That's where things get a little bit tighter than what maybe Illini fans wanted. Illinois shot 47%, Maryland 46%. 3-point percentage, Illinois was a putrid 21%. Maryland was at 30%. If Maryland hit just a little bit better, if they just hit that 35 mark that people kind of draw as your as your watermark, they probably win this game. Illinois 81% from the free throw, 73 for Maryland. Illinois was 21 for 26. Maryland was 11 for 15. Maryland 8 turnovers. Illinois 7 points off of turnovers. Illinois 14. Maryland 11. Total rebounds was close. I thought Maryland had the hustle factor. Washington, Mills in particular were all over the place. Metcalf. But Illinois was 33-30. Offensive rebounds, 12-11. So Maryland's hustle kept them in there. But second chance points, this is probably where the difference of having better shooters is. Illinois, 19 points off a second chance and only 6 for Maryland. Points in the paint, bench points were tied at 22. Points in the paint, Illinois did get in there, 42-20. Give that a lot of that to Merkovich. Fast break points. This was not a fast break game. 4-4. That was a race you don't want to watch. Blocks were 3-3. Steals, Illinois 5, Maryland 3. Assists, Illinois 14, Maryland 8. The game was tied 13 times, and for 9 minutes of the game, it was tied. 4 lead changes. Illinois had the lead for 24 minutes of the game, almost 25. And Maryland had the lead for 5 minutes and 47 seconds. So, you have a thing there where the Illini win the statistical battle, but from a very, very close competitive standpoint. When we're looking at the individual stats, I know people like to know the plus minus. Remember, the plus minus, of course, is a very, very controversial stat. But Merck was +9, Boswell +14, Big T, Tomislav 8, Jake Davis was 7, Wagler -2, Both Stojakovic and Humrickhouse were -1, and Big Z was -4. And I think Illinois' points per possession was 1.258. Turnover percentage was 11.3%, and their scoring percentage was 58.1. So they scored on 36 of 62 possessions. So the Illini had a game that they had to fight through to make sure that they got what they needed. And when we look at the Ken Palm, now obviously there are more games here today, but Illinois is still holding on at number 5. We see a lot of people having them as the final number 2 seed. And if they were to win their first game in the Big Ten tournament, I think there's a big enough gap between 8 and 9 that I think they probably are a 2 seed. But I got to be honest with you, Marcus, I'm a little bit concerned because the team, and I'm jumping to a conclusion here, okay, Marcus? So you're gonna have to stand up for the players, but I'm jumping to a conclusion. I see the shooting percentage kind of going down. Now, part of it's they're playing better teams toward the end of the year, but Maryland wouldn't really count. They're playing better teams at the end of the year. The shooting percentage is going down, and it looks like, this is only the eye test, but it looks like the team's got a little bit of dead leg going on right here. They just don't seem to have that little pop and hop that you'd like to see. So I think this team, when they shoot well, they can be one of the most devastating forces in college basketball. But it's been a while, and it's been so inconsistent that I'm worried they can just turn the switch on when it comes postseason.
I hope that nobody on this team believe that it's just a switch that can be flipped, because on this team they have nobody who's had, I'm trying to think, do they have anybody that's had a lot of postseason success on this team?
Depends what level you're talking about. I think Wagler was really good in high school.
Exactly. So we can't utilize a switch, but their style of play, the pressure that they put on defenses is gonna make for some tired legs. And this time of year, you always get tired, but that's the one thing about playing as well as they play. They have given themselves an extra 3 days of rest. I'm pretty sure coach is going to relax, maybe do some light stuff the first couple of days starting next week. Monday, Tuesday might do some light stuff. Wednesday might start to ratchet up a little bit more. And then you get the Thursday, probably be a light day. And then you got the game on Friday. So that's just usual. I can remember when we was getting ready for the Big Ten, when you take that deep breath after the season is over, after the regular season is over, you like, okay, that was a long season, but now the fun begins. This is where it really is fun, and you take a day. I'm pretty sure these guys gonna be off their feet the rest of the day, be off their feet tomorrow as much, to rest up as much as possible. And I'm pretty sure what they'll be in Chicago on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, they'll be playing on Friday.
Yeah, I'm talking about when would they go up there?
Yeah,
Wednesday,
I believe Wednesday, but we'll have to ask Sturdy that because he'll have a better idea.
And so, but yeah, I think this is normal. But yeah, they do look. It's been like this for the last. But something else though, we got to get back to the rebounding. We haven't dominated the glass in a very long time. I'm thinking like maybe not the Indiana game, the Iowa game. It feels like we haven't dominated it like how we need to dominate. I think we're the second best rebounding team in the country.
Yeah.
And we haven't shown that in these last 10 games. We got to get back to that. We have we got to show them our toughness on that glass. And then everything else will follow. But we got to show people you're not going to get a bunch of second and third chances coming against us. We're going to play defense, and we're going to hold down the paint by rebounding the ball.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna throw one question up here because people are taking my material.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about this, and this is a frustration that I've said over the last couple of years. Is we always have this team that is so deep and it's so well thought of, and the coaches tout it, and then we only have 7 or 8 guys who play, and I do think when you look at a couple teams, Michigan State. I would like to have seen one more player get developed. I don't. Does it make a difference in the dead legs? Probably not. But having one more guy in that rotation, I think helps a little bit. And having one more guy that you can trust, down the stretch gives you just another alternative, another tool in the toolbox for the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I do find it frustrating. You've obviously, Illini legend. Did you guys have anybody on your team that everybody kind of thought was going to play, and then by the end of the year they just weren't in
With
the
Coach
rotation?
Kruger and Coach Self, we kind of, especially with Coach Self, he would use players just for sparks. So sometimes Jerence Howard wasn't part of the rotation, but guess what? Jerence Howard is going to come in the game because maybe if it's just for 2 minutes, just a spark, a little intensity that he can bring in. And especially as you see how they're guarding Wagner now, they're being a
Yes.
lot more physical with him, a lot more physical. And that usage, all it's doing is making him more tired. So I
Yes.
would just bring in another guard, let him get, even if it's 2 minutes, or you do it at a 9-minute mark and you got the 7-minute timeout and you put him back in. Stuff like that. But yeah, we've already talked about this, that short bench, maybe that's one of the reasons why these legs are getting heavy, because it's so short.
Yeah. And that would be probably my biggest frustration with the Illini team. And it is a consistent thing where we think the bench is going to be much deeper than it is, and
Yeah.
and then it comes up short. So I look at that as, the coaches have to get better just like the players do. Each year you'd like to think that Coach Self is a better coach today than when he coached you all those
Yep.
years ago, because he learned and he worked at his craft. And so to me, if I'm, looking at something that the Illini coaches can do better, it's if every year you have a guy or two that you think is going to play who gets here and can't play, then you have to get your identifying talent. You got to sharpen that pencil and do that a little better.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess that's where I get that. That's where I would say, I'd like to see some degree of improvement. I don't know that having a ninth man all of a sudden makes this team Duke or anything like that. But I do think, like you said, Wagler is fighting through something because he has played differently ever since that spill at UCLA.
Yeah. He
Now, it
getting
did
beat
not
up.
look it didn't look horrible, but he has played a little bit. He's definitely fighting through some stuff. I'll give the kid credit because he doesn't complain. He goes out there, but I do think ultimately Illinois has to figure out something to help him out. And I'm going to ask you this, Marcus, but I think when you change up, the guy who when you change up the objectives of how the NCAA tournament is
Yeah.
reffed compared to how a Big Ten game is refereed, I think we'll see Keaton Wagler score a little more, and I think we'll see him get to the free throw line a little more often, because they're not going to let guys tackle and grab him for 94 feet the way they do in the Big Ten. You think am I totally smoking crack on that, or do you think that's a realistic
All I'm
expectation?
gonna say is it depends on the referees and what conference they're representing. If you're getting Big East referees, you're not going to get. They call the game, and they call the game physical as well. They're going to let those guys grab, hold. They're going to, but it kind of just depends on where those officiates are coming from. It'd be easy. It'd be perfect if everybody had the same brush and all the games was ref the same way. And maybe if that was the case, maybe I have me a Final Four under my belt.
That's
But
exactly what I think. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not like that. And so you're going to have certain referees. That's like if you got Pac-12 they're going to call the game not as physical as what a Big Ten referees and what Big East referees. I'm not that for sure with ACC. I'm not familiar with if they a lot of physicality go on over there. I don't know, but I know Big East they're gonna let them boys play. So just depends. But no, you're not losing your mind with that take.
Yeah, I just keep thinking that's the key. And of course, we've heard, Sturdy, and we've heard that, there is he's playing through a little bit of pain from the left shoulder. Is it? Who knows? We'll find out after the season's over. Guys play through injuries. You played through
He's beat
injuries
up.
all the time. I mean,
He's
it is
beat
what
up.
it is.
I
But
think today they did a great job, especially in the second half, of taking the ball out of his hands. They
Yep.
need to do it so much sooner. They need to do it so much sooner because until the referees start getting those guys off of him, he is going to get held, grabbed, hit every chance. It's out on him now. That is out. Let's be physical with him. Let's physical him up. If they're going to keep the ball in his hands, we just going to beat him up all game long. That is what it is. You can see it. I don't know what game changed it, but now you can see every week that's what teams are doing. Teams are like, we're gonna muck it up with him. He comes in the basket, we want to hit him. He's coming off ball screens, we want to bump him. He comes around screens, we want to bump him. So he's just gonna have to play a lot more with the ball not in his hand as much, so he can take breaks. He can't take breaks on the defensive side, so he's gonna have to take breaks on that offensive side.
Looks like Ked may be back in the building. Ked, can you hear us?
Hey, fellas, can you guys hear me pretty good or no?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. That voice pretty good.
So, Ked, we were talking. Oh, so we will see if we can get Ked lined up on this or not. But yeah, and I think the other thing that I was actually liked what Maryland did, and I would love to see Illinois do it more often. Was I like the idea of switching up defenses. Sturdy brought this up the last podcast, Marcus, and I know you were coaching and you got a free coaching weekend now, but we really like the switching up the defense to keep teams off balance.
Yeah.
I know Maryland did that, and I thought that helped them out a few times in this game.
Yeah. Was that that's me? Yes, I agree with that. You have to be willing. It's good if you got the players that can, like during makes, go back in a 1-2-2 and then go back into a 1-2-2 zone. I love that. I love being able to switch it up from time to time, especially when teams are attacking you in a certain type of way and you can't keep teams out of the paint. So you want to switch it up on them from time to time, maybe throw in a half-court trap, maybe slow the ball up, especially when you play a team like Michigan State who likes to jam the ball right down your neck after a score, maybe falling back in a 1-2-2 full court press just to slow them up so you could get back and maybe fall back in a soft man-to-man or go back into a 1-2-2 zone. I love that.
Yep. No, I totally get it. Ked, are you on?
Nope.
And nope. We get that. We get that figured out. So let's talk a little bit about Merkovich. 22 points, 9 for 13 from the field, 0 for 1 from the 3. So he did not push the 3, which was I thought was good tonight. 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 foul, and 2 turnovers. I'm telling you right now, in a normal world, Merk is probably, Merk is.
Kev, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, fella. I can hear you. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can't hear Mike at all.
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you just cut out. Whatever you were saying, I did not hear it at all.
So Merk had a hell of a game, and he basically ended up 9 for 13, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. So this guy, that was an all Big Ten style game today.
Yeah.
Just how important is he? And having him clicking when the rest of the team isn't, maybe the thing that saves this team.
Oh my! Just looking at this game, don't take nothing. He matched energy. He didn't do anything special. He just matched energy. He was like, "You gonna put a little guard on me? I'm gonna dominate him on the glass." That's all he did. He was like, "Oh, 6'2", he can't stop me from rebounding. I'm getting all these offensive rebounds." That's all he did. He was like, "Okay, we're gonna punish you for playing this way." And that's all I've been talking about. You punish the defense for being stupid. You want to put 6'2" on 6'10", guys, you shoot the ball. I'm healthy that I could go after every rebound just like he was doing at the beginning of the season. I like to see that motor coming back, and it's coming back at the right time. We got Big Ten tournament next week, and the week after that, we got the NCAA tournament. So without him, we wouldn't hardly get any points on the low block. So he is a godsend. And any other time, he might be freshman of the year. He
Right.
easily could be freshman of the year. But you got this kid Wagner who might be Big Ten player of the year and freshman of the year this year. So, but yeah, I love his game. I love his motor today. He was solid. I'm glad that he wasn't staying out by the three. As soon as he saw a matchup that he loved, he went straight to the box. And I love that attitude. I love that energy. And I just want him to continue to be like that going into next week as well.
Yeah, Ked, what were your thoughts on Merck today?
I'm not surprised. Just going back, months ago, way back in October when Illinois had media day, Brad Underwood talked about him. One of the things he told us was, which we all see from time to time, was some of the things he does on the court are just it's hard to just fathom. Like Brad chewed him out a couple times and for hanging on the rim. I mean, things like that. He doesn't think things through. When a tight game, he could get a technical foul. I remember early in the season, he threw a 75-foot bounce pass that Brad came unglued with. And I mean, he is who he is, but he's a really, really good basketball player. And, there's no sense now. This team is who they are. I'm sorry I missed the first part of the show. I was actually doing some recruiting work for the University of Illinois. So that's why I was late, fellas. But having said that, they're not going to change. If Illinois is going to do anything in the post Griff and anybody who's listening, it's going to be him. It just is.
Yep.
I don't understand, why Tommy, who struggled for the last 3 or 4 games, doesn't want anything to do with it. But what's the point of talking about it? It's not going to change, and it's what it's going to be.
Is Tommy dealing with any injuries?
Because it was a mother this time, Leroy.
Does Tommy have any injuries, KP?
Yeah.
You know what? No, I don't. He appears to be healthy. But here's what I think, guys. And Griff, there's a lot of kids who put on weight, and sometimes it doesn't fit them. It doesn't. And I think he's so big, he's not as mobile as he once was.
Compared to his brother, he's not at all.
No, Zonomer can move. And if it was me and I'm not coaching, that kid would be getting 30 minutes a game because he is mobile enough to at least move. He can get up. He will attempt to block shots, and he'll try to get out and guard. And he's able to guard the perimeter better. And I'm not criticizing Tommy. It's just not who he is. I think gaining weight is what everybody thinks that's a natural thing to do. And I'm not criticizing Adam Fletcher because he is a master at it. I just think it's hindered his game. He's not mobile enough. So if he's not mobile enough, then, and shots aren't falling, he can go to the block, but Zonomer doesn't do that. So, I mean, Tommy's hurting himself, and he came into the season, guys, as a preseason kind of, potential, all Big Ten player. He hasn't lived up to that, and that's okay. It happens, and David's doing his thing, and I like what he's doing, and I like today he is not afraid, and some of the shots he makes, I just don't understand it. And I will give kudos to the coaching staff. There was 3 or 4 times where I thought they came out, like you mentioned, Griff, when I first joined. They exploited mismatches in the post, and they did it out of a timeout. And I have been very critical, and I'm sorry, I have been. Today was the first time it took a whole season where I can tell you 3 different times during a timeout they came out. The first play of the game, I text our group text. They ran a good set. It's there in the arsenal. It's there, and I was impressed with that part of it today.
I will double down. Me and Mike talked about it before we went live. I love the adjustments with the concern of getting the ball down low. Dave was asking for the ball. As soon as he come off a ball screen, they set a ball screen switch. He'd throw the ball back to the guard, and he was going straight to the block. I love that. I love the attitude that's telling me. That attitude is saying for everybody, I'm not letting you off the hook while guarding 6'2" on me. I'm not letting you off the hook. I don't need to shoot the ball every time, but when I score a couple of times, now I got you running double teams. You're coming from the baseline side. I'm getting Jake Davis to cut through. I'm being able to see the guard straight ahead to shoot some open threes because I think he passed out a couple to hit some threes. But
yeah, I
like the energy. I like the mindset, what it's telling his teammates, and I love it what it's telling the opposing team. Not today. 6'2" ain't guarding 6'9" today.
He did a really good job. You're right, Griffin. We can't, downplay the fact that when he got double teamed, he made the right pass. Yeah. I've never seen Jake Davis make a cut the way he made. I thought that part of it was great. It was good to see him do that. So having said that, he just looks really, really good and comfortable. And I know we've talked about this, and you guys did too, because I heard a little bit of it. If it wasn't for Kid Prince, that kid would have a legitimate shot for Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He really would.
Let me say something to what KP just said. KP, it's easy to cut when you know you got a big man that'll pass the ball.
Facts.
People wasn't cutting when I was playing because they knew I was a black hole. When you threw the ball to me, I was shooting it. So
I don't blame you because sometimes they didn't throw it. They refuse to throw it down there. So I don't blame you, Griff.
Yeah, I'm letting it go. But when you got a big man, that's willing to pass that ball like Illinois has, cutting to that basket, when you know if you're open, they're going to hit you, it's a great thing.
Yeah, I would like to actually see them work on a few more reads for guys to automatically go to the basket, because I think if they were consistently cutting, particularly like they did in the first half, that's probably 5 layups a half that they get a shot at. And, like I said, in that particular half, that was 3 dunks for Big Z. And
Yep.
I'd like to see more of that.
I'm with you.
And I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of people have a hard time admitting when they're wrong, and I have no problem with it. I was really, confused why Andre Stojakovic wasn't getting minutes, even though he played great the last time. As much as it pains me to say this, and I do want to see him on the floor, I don't know, sometimes he goes through the motions, but this team really spreads the floor better with Jake on the floor. They really do.
He's not healthy.
Yeah, and I know people said he had the flu, and maybe that's a part of it. And I give the kid credit because I'm going to tell you, I'm a wuss when it comes to stuff like that. If I had the flu, man, I'd be at home sucking my thumb, man. So I give him credit for being out there playing because the flu is tough, and a lot of kids go through it. So, you know what? They got to, they're on a roll. And then here's one thing I want people to understand. This is the first time in a long time that I can remember, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, Illinois doesn't have a bad loss on their record. They don't. There's always a team that has that one loss where you shouldn't have lost. Yeah, we can say they should have won at UCLA. They shouldn't have lost at home to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But there's not a bad – every team they lost to was going to the tournament. Every one of them.
Well, and every one of them is relatively high rated when you look at, Michigan State, you look at Nebraska, you look at Michigan. I mean, that's an impressive loss list there. I will tell you the other thing I think is interesting is how bad's Boswell's hand, because they talked about, how there was a massive bump, bruise, however you want to talk about it, on his hand. He definitely doesn't feel. You could tell he doesn't feel 100% comfortable, although he ended up shooting 3 for 5 today. So that's not the worst thing in the world. He's fighting through it, Ked. Have you heard much on that?
Yeah, if you guys remember, he took the brace off, then he got it injured again.
Yeah, he got smacked on it. I remember.
He hurt it again. Kind of like Zonimir's nose today. He injured it again. And to me, here's what I like. I know people from maybe, I don't know what other schools who Illinois could possibly play in the tournament because we don't know who the seed is. Teams in the Big Ten will probably, because the scouting is good, they'll sag off like I know Michigan did and make him shoot it. And he's not looking to shoot the ball. Maybe it's because of his hand. Who knows? But in the tournament, they're going to know, and they'll look at the games where he's played well. He's capable of shooting it. So I think it's going to bode well. Now that the regular season's over, everybody's playing 0-0 going to the tournament, but they know each other. So I don't care about the fact that he's not shooting a lot of threes right now. He ran the offense really, really good today. He's still a really good defender. So I like that part of his game. Right now, he's that senior point guard. And at the end of the day, it's lose now or go home. And I think you're going to see a way more aggressive Colin Boswell in the eyes of his teammates. Like today, Coach Underwood, I know Brad just got on, but Coach Underwood was chewing out Dobbit once, which we all saw. You saw Colin Boswell put his hand on Brad's chest and say, we're in a timeout, basically. Let's make this work. He was chewing him out, which is okay, but that's senior leadership. And I'm not a big fan of that. People, I don't want to say it's overrated, but Kylan has to do that with a bunch of new guys and guys that are playing from overseas, and they need all that.
So Brad Sturdy is now joining us live from Maryland. I heard there was some idiot who asked a question in the press conference that annoyed Coach Underwood. Got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was that idiot. So,
what did you ask?
What did you ask, Brad? We want to know.
They've looking at Illinois, they've lost 3 3 of their last 4 losses are in overtime. Obviously, one possession games, close games. And I said, just closing this game out, give you confidence going into the postseason as opposed to, maybe struggling late. And he said that next question basically said, I don't like that question.
It's an honest
Hold on, what's wrong with the question?
I probably worded it poorly. I was trying to make it positive, like, they closed one out and found a way to win, on the road after having 3 tough losses. But
Brad, you are never supposed to ask tough questions in a press conference. I don't do it, and you're not allowed to do it either, my friend.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I mean, that didn't even sound like a tough question to me.
It's not because they lost.
No, I thought, here's my thought. Like, this is a team that they've blitzed people a lot this year, which is why their net and Ken Palmer so high. But at the same time, now they were winning close games. Obviously, they won at Purdue, and they've done some great closing games before. But I think the last 3 times they've had a close game, it's been let's say whether you look at it, you got the UCLA game, obviously you've got the Wisconsin game, Michigan State game. They did do a nice job at Nebraska, but I think since that time and then at Purdue, since that time, really hasn't been they've struggled to close. And I'm not saying they did anything wrong. It's not like it's more like closing one out. Maybe sometimes you feel better about yourselves because you closed one out. You know what I mean? Like, you feel good because you finished this game. And that's what I was going for. I think he may have taken it the wrong way, but it's all right.
Yeah. So a couple questions to come at you, Brad. You look at Mirkovich. We were really jumping on how well he played today and how important he was to the team, especially when he would recognize when he had a mismatch and except for one play, really took advantage of it. What were you hearing on your end, and what were your thoughts sitting there watching the game live?
Well, I thought Merck was great, especially in the first half. I thought he carried him. He made plays down the stretch, but in the first half, he's the only guy that really rebounded and only guy that scored. And what I liked today was he wasn't getting those spot up threes that he sometimes gets, and he just got to the rim. I posted up, played inside, took advantage of mismatches. He'd have a smaller guy on him. But the other thing he did was when they were doubling a lot. When they double, he hit cutters and he found guys open, go to the weak side. Honestly, their ball movement was really good. It's hard to win when you shoot. What were they from 3? I mean, they shot
20%.
5 for 24 from 3, and thank God they didn't shoot 30 some, because then they'd have been like 6 for 30 something. You know what I mean? I mean, they were 21 for 31 from 2-point range, which was good. But most of those shots, as we see, they were 19 of 23 at the rim. So when they got to the rim, they scored. Or you got the fouls too. So it was really impressive what Merck did. I thought he was just fantastic. And it's nice. I mean, he said Keaton just had a bad day, said his back was bothering him a little bit. Then Stojakovic had the flu. And so that, I think that was part of it.
What was Tommy's issue?
Just didn't have a very good game. I think I think it happens. I mean, you guys have all played. You guys know that sometimes
I had a lot of bad games, Brad. I was an expert at it.
Some guys have bad games all the time. You know what I mean? Like, so, but no, I think, you're going to have a day when you're not your best and so forth. And that's why it's nice to have the depth they have. They can put in a different guy. Maybe it's bringing in, Z off the bench, or it's, having a guys like Ben Hummerkosh and Jake Davis are huge. I mean, just because they can do little things, but they can come off the bench and just give you value, and you can replace guys. And when they have a bad day, then they don't play as many minutes. And again today, you just want this team to. I really feel like this team just needs to be healthy and clicking. When they're healthy and clicking, I think they can beat anybody. But when they're not, they're going to have some games like this where they struggle. So it was good to see them close out a close game. And I will say this, Maryland hit a ton of tough shots.
Yes.
I mean, some of those 2-point shots are like the worst shots you can take. They're fadeaways, 15, 17 footers over the top of guys. But sometimes you just go, hey, great shot. Just tip your cap.
Yeah, because there's a couple times Mills looked like a Kobe Bryant with some of the degree of difficulty on the shots. The other thing, I guess, looking at the team, You know, we've heard how deep this bench was going to be coming into the season. It hasn't turned out that way. With a team like Maryland, where they just had pure energy, especially in that first half, did it surprise you Lee didn't get in there? Because that's one thing he brings is, you know, he brings energy and intensity. Or is that just, like I said, is that ship now sailed and these are the 8 we're going to win with?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you. I know you're not asking me. Here's the deal. He's never done it. He's been there for 9 years. When have you seen him go 9 or 10 deep? And
Never.
people think you can use Brandon Lee, you can use Petrovic. They're not playing. The only way those kids get in the game right now, if it's a necessity or an emergency, it's not changed. I don't understand. And I'm not even saying it's right or wrong. I don't have an opinion on it. But I'm telling you, if you think that this late stage of the season, that rotation is going to change, the only thing that could possibly change with this is if somebody gets injured and he might insert Andre Stojakovic in for Jake Davis, which I don't see that happening either. I don't. Otherwise, what you see is what you're going to get right now. And that's what Brad has done his whole career since he's been at Illinois.
Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
Nope, I agree with everything the KP said.
True. Hey, let me ask you guys. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and change the subject here. Mike, you made a comment about Izzo here in the section, and my phone has 74 messages on it about Izzo and Fears, but I see him playing in the game. Did I miss something?
Yeah, Fears did the backwards nut kick again.
No, he didn't. He didn't do that the first time, Mike. Yes. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, well, that's right. I'm sorry. He did what he mirrored what he didn't do earlier in the year. Yes. So
he really did do it again?
Yeah, he really did do it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know the message.
It is what it is. I mean, look, you know, Izzo has a whole different level of referee intimidation going. And look, we've seen it. Gene Cady was the same way. Bob Knight was the same way. There's some guys, they've just been around for a while and they've been successful, and then they can, you know, they get the calls. It is what it is. Illinois, I think if Bill Self had stayed, I think Illinois would get those calls too, but he's over in Kansas now. So
he ain't getting them over there right now.
No. Yeah. I love these comments, man. We have some good, loyal listeners, man. I'm laughing and smiling at some of these comments, yes.
Yeah. Well, the mom jokes are rolling in.
Today, it really was a mom today, so I have to tell the truth, it really was. I'm single. I'm just kidding.
Hold on. Let me say something. I was in Champaign a little bit more over these last couple of games than I have been. And to anybody that ever questions, am I an Illinois guy? It is ridiculous. I am orange and blue to the death of me. I am an Illinois guy no matter what I say.
Who's questioning you, Griff? I mean, not names, but like, what do you think?
I ain't gonna put people out, but when I was there, I had quite a few people. What'd you say?
You're on a podcast it's an Illinois podcast, and you talk Illinois. You're passionate about it. You can tell. If you weren't an Illinois guy, why would you be on a podcast? Why would you go to games, man?
Yeah.
He just asked a bad question. He asked a bad question.
Yeah, people questioned it. People was literally, I'm happy to see that you got an Illinois shirt on. I couldn't tell. I had those conversations when I was in Champaign. But just to let anybody know, I am Illinois all through and through. I will not address that again.
Well, since you're saying that, you know, you're good friends with this guy named Lucas Johnson, and he has a daughter who's really, really good.
She's so All State.
So you got some connections, man.
As a freshman. She is going to be a monster.
Yeah. So
she is going to be a monster.
We're going to take this segment, and I want to make sure Lucas gets this segment. Or you can help us out, Mr. Illinois guy.
Miss Green needs to be wrapping her arms around her right now.
Oh, she's been down there, my friend. I'll talk to
Lucas. She needs to be wrapping them arms around her right now.
Yes, and we've lost all control of this podcast. So, Sturdy, what thoughts then come to mind after watching that? Now, do you have any idea what they're going to do in practice the next 4 or 5 days? I mean, right now, and I'm going to tell you, this is me, nobody else. It looks to me like the team's a little bit on the dead leg side. Their 3-point shooting has been atrocious. Do they need rest? What do you think is on the menu, and what are your thoughts? Now we've lost your audio.
Sorry, I pressed the button. My bad. Yeah, no, Brad mentioned it post game a little bit when you talk about this team has shot, I think the last 4 games have been 31, 31, 28, and 21 from three. So obviously not in a good shooting rhythm right now. And really, since the first half of the UCLA game, they made some shots. And since that time, it's been a struggle. And I think you're right. Some of it's that, but I think there's this 20-game gauntlet that they play in 18 games in essentially 2 months, while also, playing, going to school or, taking classes, doing all that stuff.
Practicing
Um,
individual workouts.
yeah, all the stuff that they're doing. So it's hard. It's a lot, right? And then so I do think that's part of it. I think also they need to keep working, getting some shots up. They have to get better at their defensive discipline. I still think there's little things like when you give up, sometimes you can't just give up a basket, because if you have a bad possession and you let somebody, and you guys know, I mean, I was a shooter, right? If I make a shot, once I hit one, then I feel like I'm going to make them all.
Yep,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
bigger.
and you just feel like, so if you give that guy confidence early, then you feel like they're going to keep shooting. So I just feel like that's the one thing. They can't have a breakdown early in the game. But I don't know if that's, I think a lot of it is, just mental stuff. I don't know if I do think maybe the legs are a little bit tired, but I think they're mentally tired too, right? I think at this point in the season, when you're really playing for, I guess you're playing for seeding, but these guys don't understand. They're not seeing seeding. They don't think of it like we do. They're just playing the game in front of them. But I think you'll see a different energy when they get in the Big Ten tournament and NCAA tournament. I think that it's when you get through this grind, it is hard. And think about how many teams we've seen lose that aren't just really, really good of late. I mean, obviously, I thought outside of the Big Four right now, they've all had bad losses. And even Arizona looked very pedestrian for much of the game in their last, the other day. So it's a hard time of year because it's a grind. Now, if you're playing for a Big Ten title or something today, probably a different level of energy, right? And so I think that's part of it. And it's very, so I think mentally they're going to have to get through. And that's what I would just work on their fundamentals defensively. They don't know who they're going to play yet. I was told that Iowa and Nebraska have set basketball back to the 50s, although they scored more points in the 50s. But yeah, they don't know who they're going to play yet until that game ends. Yep. But yeah, I do think mental is the biggest. You're going to physically, I know these guys are well trained, but I don't care who you are and what kind of shape you're in. Legs hurt. I mean, your legs get tired. I mean, It doesn't matter who you are. But you got to be mentally tough and fight through it. And you can guarantee if you got to play 3 games and 3 days in a Big Ten tournament, your legs are going to be tired on Sunday.
And that's what stinks about the tournament. I remember, you guys remember, all of us, when they didn't have the Big Ten tournament. It's great. It's a moneymaker is what it is, because I don't really think it affects seedings unless teams who are playing on that Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday, and they go out and win it or maybe get to the championship game. And that is a concern for me. I mean, they have time off. I know we're talking men, but I know Shauna mentioned Green that she gave her girls a couple of days off, or her women a couple of days off, because you practice, you play it, prepare, then you play 3 days. I was going to say last week on the podcast, I didn't care if Illinois shot the ball well today. I really didn't. Save it for the tournament. I don't care if they shoot well in the Big Ten tournament. I think winning today, they're going to be a 2 seed. They can't go out and get blitzed in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. But I think what Purdue's doing and how they've struggled down the stretch, I think Illinois is a 2 seed, and I think that's great. That's a blessing. That's because they don't have any bad losses. But if you get an opportunity to rest your legs, I want to see them get hot at the right time. At the end of the day, that's what you want. Right now, you're not winning the Big Ten. I don't even care if they win the Big Ten tournament. I want a Final 8 this season. If they can get to a Sweet 16, should be a lock. A Final 8, a Final 4 will be icing. If they win it, great. If they don't, this team is good enough where they should do it. But if they continue to shoot 31%, 28% against good teams, that's not going to get it done, guys.
Yeah, Mike, just to go back on what you was talking about cardio-wise, I mean, them having dead legs, I think first 2 days, they shouldn't have no tape on them ankles. It should be heavy film sessions, just letting them just shoot some shots, watch film, relax. And then you can start picking it up as you figure out who you playing. You can identify them, have some scout days, and then get ready to go for the game on Friday. But
how did Coach Self do that with you guys? If you guys had a quick turnaround like that, do you remember what it was like and how he went about attacking those things from a mental standpoint?
It wouldn't be like he will give us a day or two that we wouldn't even tape our ankles. And what that means for him is no physicality in practice. No guys banging up against each other. He needs us to rest. Films, getting our bodies treatment. If you need to be in an ice bath, if you need to get ice on your ankles, all of that stuff is happening.
Okay.
Because when we go, we go. And once you get out of the Big Ten tournament, as we know, it's a quick turnaround to the NCAA tournament. There's not a lot of time. You don't get a lot of time to take days off. So this right here is your time. And then mentally tough, you just gotta, it is what it is. You just gotta let it go and you gotta bring it.
So, Brad, if Illinois plays Wisconsin, you know, people are obviously worried about, you know, Wisconsin's hot, Illinois is lukewarm. You know, do you see that as a major thing, or are we looking at giving these guys 4 or 5 days off? You know, it kind of reshuffles the deck and kind of starts them all over again.
Wisconsin's tough. If their bigs are making threes, they're a tough guard because their guards are really good. If their bigs don't make threes, though, we've seen a lot of games that are bad. This is the same Wisconsin team who just lost to Oregon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so I know they're hot, but they're good. This is what you get in college basketball. There's a lot of parity, and if they have a good shooting game, they're probably gonna be hard to beat unless Illinois has a good shooting game. I do think, yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. By the way, I will not tape my ankles on press row in honor of Marcus. So we're on the airplane going home. No ankle taping.
Yep, don't tape. Don't tape.
Better get to the airport. Better get to the airport early if all the stories on Twitter are correct.
No.
Can I ask y'all a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
KP, you said something earlier that Illinois will be a 2 seed, but
Mhm.
then I heard on TV that they will be the 4th 2 seed. Do y'all are okay with Illinois being the 4th 2 seed or the number 1 3 seed?
Me personally, I think it matters as a 2 seed, I guess. But when you're that low, because it's going to be the ranking as a 4th seed, 2 seed, you're going to play the toughest next round opponent. So it's nice just because of the fact that you get that 2 seed, I guess. But when you're in the second, third round anyway, I have to admit it. I don't think it's going to matter. I really don't.
Because you still got to beat them anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think the key for Illinois is I think they've pretty much locked up that they're going to be in St. Louis in the first 2 rounds. I think that's a key because that's where you want to be that because they'll have almost a home court advantage, right? And then what would be interesting though if they have if they get like Missouri as the 10 seed down there or something like that would be interesting. Or maybe St. Louis is in that somewhere in there, 7 or 10. But no, I do think they're going to end up in St. Louis, and I think so. I think that's part of it. They're definitely they should have a protected seed. Then after that, I think you get in the Sweet 16. If let's say they're the last 2 seed or the first 3 seed, they're probably getting Iowa State either way, as that because Iowa State seems to be 9th, right? So maybe that's now here's the weird part. We were talking about this for the game. I don't think Michigan's a great matchup for them. I think they'd rather play some other teams that they haven't seen. But if you do that, you could still, let's say they're the 3 seed and they say, well, we're going to put Iowa State as the last 2 seed, Illinois is first 3 seed. And then Michigan, somehow we got Michigan, Iowa State, and Illinois all going, and Iowa State and Illinois go St. Louis to Chicago. That would be interesting, right? So that would be interesting. No, I think I think the biggest thing is just, take care of business. I think winning the Friday game is important. But after that, if they're the 4 seed, I haven't even looked at the score of that game, but if they're the 4 seed and they're playing Michigan on Saturday, I don't. If you win, great. If you lose, you get an extra day to get ready, right? I mean, the Big Ten tournament's cool, but and then you got to play another 40 minutes on Sunday and all that stuff. So
it's not going to hurt them lose. Like we all like the wins and losses, but if they lose to Michigan, they get another day of rest. Let's be honest, you get another day of rest on those heavy legs.
Yep.
Yeah, and Michigan currently, just for those people, doing 2 things at once, Michigan's currently up 76-70 with 3:31 to go over Michigan State, and Nebraska is comfortably ahead of Iowa 46-35 with almost 13 minutes to go. We're looking like Nebraska. I'm not saying Iowa can't come from behind, but I just don't see them coming from behind in Lincoln. We'll see. But I think you're going to have that happen, and of course,
And you
Purdue's.
would probably want to avoid Michigan State at all costs too, because some of your players might get kicked in the nuts.
Yeah.
So
and it's still the Michigan coach's fault, no matter what happens with
Yeah.
Jeremy Fears. It's obviously Dusty May's fault that happened.
Yeah. No, I mean, someone said they have doubts they could beat Michigan. I think they can, but things have to go really well for them to beat Michigan. I mean,
here's why they could beat Michigan. Don't think about what has happened the last game. I look at the season. I don't just watch the one game. I don't just watch Illinois. Northwestern is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten in college basketball. And it's a different game. But at one point in the second half, they were up by 16 points against Michigan. What did Michigan do at Iowa just last week? They're beatable. Illinois just has to do what they do well and take care of their business. Illinois makes shots. They can play with anybody in the country. We say that, so we can't. I'm not going to renege on that. To me, there's not a team out there that I think Illinois is afraid of. And we haven't talked about it, but I don't want to play Duke because I think they get every call. I will play Michigan. I'd rather see them play Arizona. Keep Duke away from me because if you look at them and you spell their name wrong, it's going to be a foul. So I don't want any smoke with Duke. I will play those teams because Illinois can compete with those teams. We've seen them do it. So Michigan is beatable. I mean, they're playing right now against Michigan State. It's a 6-point game, as you mentioned. Michigan State isn't trash, but they're not beating them by 40 points either. So you just have to bring your top hat, your best hat. Illinois did not play well against Michigan last Friday, whenever that was.
Hold up. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Do you think Illinois is capable of physically taking on Michigan?
Physically, it's two different teams. And no, I don't think Illinois is physical at all. We just talked about it 20 minutes ago. The only physical person on that team is David Merkovich. And people want to criticize how he played against Alana Morez Johnson, but David put up a double-double against him. If Illinois is not physical against anybody, we talked about Tomislav wanting to shoot threes from Europe or Hong Kong or Egypt. He doesn't want to be in the post. So be it. I'm cool with that. But if they're making threes, Michigan has to guard that. They have to guard the pick and pop. I don't even think, truthfully, everybody talks about how well Yaxel did against, Keaton Wagler. Keaton got going in the second half. They just have to make open shots. And Brad mentioned it. I'm mentioning it again. I don't care about playing anybody in the tournament. When you get a guy like Ben-Hur Rickhouse going, and I'm a huge fan of him going, you get Jake from State Farm going, you get Zonomer going because he hasn't been going. And Keaton, looking to be confident again, they can play with anybody. Yes, I'm personally, Griff, physically no, but when they're going, man, their offense, you have to guard that. You really have to guard their pick and pop and how they get to the rim and kick out. I love that about them.
Yeah, I think they got to make threes. I mean, Z's 2 for his last 19 from 3.
Yes, it's pretty bad.
Hey, just throw lobs for dunks to him. I mean,
he's really good at that. If they just let him do that, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I think Tommy is 2 for his last 17, and Z is 2 for his last 19. So combined, that's 4 for 36, which is 11%. I think if they shoot 11%, they're probably good. You're open. Why are you open? Because I can't make anything. No,
because you're 2 for 18.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, hey, look at today, though. Darius Adams comes in and makes first 2 threes, hits 4 or 5 shots. He's shooting 24% from 3 coming in, right? I mean, This is the thing. Like sometimes and I think Illinois kind of has to have that kind of performance where they just, if Z is 3 for 6, and Ben is 3 for 6, and suddenly now you got an extra 12 points there from what you had the first time you played Michigan. Well, now it's a competitive game, and you got a chance to win a possession game, and that's the way you're going to beat them because you're not going to just go out there and blitz them because they're too good for that.
Yep, I agree.
Yep, you got to get it down to the last 3 minutes. Let it be possession by possession. Execute.
Yeah. And you got to knock down the key 3. I mean, that's been the thing that was. I mean, Rickhouse had a rough game today, going 2 for 8, but the one that he hit going down the stretch was important. And so you need to hit the ones that are important, and then you also need to just be a little more consistent. So let's go around the horn and wrap up here. We're over the hour mark, so I'll go Marcus, Ked, Brad, and then we'll take it home. Any final thoughts?
Great win. Now let's rest up. Let's get our bodies and our minds right because you can do something that no Illinois team has ever done by winning a national championship. So let's focus in. Let's let all these little nagging back injuries, hamstring injuries, let's get these taken care of. Let's have the right mindset, the right physicality going into the Big Ten tournament, and let it continue to go into the NCAA tournament. So great first season, great first part of the season, on to bigger and better things. Let's go.
Well, I'll be brief. For the older people, if you've ever watched this show called I Dream of Jeannie, when she would rub that bottle and she would pop out, I want to rub that bottle and make those threes rain, baby. I want some threes. I want the threes to fall, fellas. If we're going to do what we think we're capable of, let's rub that Genie bottle, make threes, and if they lose making threes, at least you don't have to stress yourself out and watch what you've watched for the last 3 or last 4 games. Make shots is what I want. I don't care how it happens. If they have to pay somebody, get an NIL budget, I don't care. Change it. At this late in the season, make shots.
Brad?
Well,
Brad, he really didn't like that question. He really didn't like that question.
I really
Brad.
like that question. So
No, he did.
Next question. No. Hey, it's on Fox College Hoops. So
they're going to make a star out of you yet.
Brad, they're going to make you famous overnight.
Yeah, infamous.
Who's that guy with the hard questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tough question. Hey, does it give you confidence because you close one out? No.
Jerk.
Hey, no, it's fine. It is what it is, right? This is I just think, as somebody texted me a few minutes ago, it's like any win you get in March is good. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's ugly, pretty, whatever. You win in March, that's what you're looking for, and so that's all you're gonna do. And I think, do I think that Illinois is going to be favored to win the national title? No, but I think the odds makers. I do think that the odds makers have them like 7th most favorite and I think as fans, we look more critically at the team because we see them every day and we want them to do this. And that's, I think, where we got to look at everybody's losing except for those top teams, but it only takes one bad day, and it only takes one bad day and one of those is out. And then you have a clear path, and who knows, you don't have to beat them in a best of 7 series. It's not like the NBA. You got to win one time. And that's why it's so hard to do. You got to win six games one time, and that's the difficulty. But now I think the big key for Illinois now, get back home. I would guess they're going to take tomorrow off, and then get healthy, get right, and then get all their treatments, get all their stuff done, and then start looking. They'll know who they play, and the coach will be watching all kinds of film and getting ready. And it looks like it's going to be Wisconsin, but they don't really know for sure, because they still have to play a game. We've seen them lose to some bad teams too. We'll see. But yeah, take care of business on Friday, and then you get that national TV matchup against one of the top teams in the country, and it could really I think that could be a really fun game if you really win or lose.
Yeah, we will be back. Of course, we'll have our coverage, and we'll do a halftime show for the Big Ten tournament. So we will be able to do that. And then we will obviously have post-game show. Should be an exciting tournament. Let's hope the Illini sharpen the tools a little bit as they get ready for a pretty critical run here at the national title in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, it's a single elimination, so Lord only knows what's going to happen. But this is an important one, as Brad Underwood wants to see what he can do about getting to the Sweet 16 and repeating to the Elite 8 or even higher. I'm certain this Illinois team and staff have high expectations. Now the key is, can you live up to them? So we will be back later in the week. Until then, folks, go Illini.